Hi, I'm Dr. Colin. Welcome to another NutriU Health videocast, and welcome to our Creative Kitchen. So today's topic is food cravings. So this is something that is near and dear to many of us. When we have a food craving, maybe we're craving a sweet or a salty, high carbohydrate food. But often our food cravings are attached to consuming things that aren't healthy for us and consuming those things in an unhealthy way. So today's focus is food, and in particular, actually, we're going to go specifically into sweets and even more specifically into chocolate. So what is a craving? So a craving is an intense emotional desire for something that makes that thing seem like the most important thing in your life. And it often is something that is attached to a memory, a historical experience that's very positive. Also, when we're craving food, we're craving certain foods like sweets because we're trying to overcome a certain emotional experience, whether it's depression, stress, anxiety. So the first thing that you want to do when you're having a craving is actually look at what you're trying to achieve. Because when we crave something external, we're trying to soothe something internal. And in fact, the real deal is that we need to deal with the internal stuff internally. What is the negative self-talk? What is the emotion that you're having? It's so easy to grab something like a piece of chocolate. In my case, this is what I would do, and not even realize that we're eating that chocolate because we just got home from a very stressful day at work. And before we know it, we finished the bar of chocolate because of that stressful day at work, because we're eating mindlessly. So my first suggestion to you is when you have a craving, embrace that you're having a craving and try to give yourself a few minutes to understand why it's happening before you go into eating that particular food. So as I mentioned, cravings can be caused by emotions such as anxiety, depression, anger, stress, loneliness, or even just a need for love. So there was a time in my life when I was really kind of feeling depressed and lonely, and I realized that that time I spent a lot more time eating chocolate, but I didn't realize it then. So one thing you can do first is take the time for the self-reflection. But the second thing that you can do is also take a little time before you give into your food craving. So if you're craving sweets, for example, it actually could be that you're trying to just elevate your serotonin a little bit because you know sweets will do that. And if you go out for a walk, that might be just what you need to elevate that serotonin, and that craving goes away for sweets. If you give yourself a little bit of time, one of the nice things about cravings is sometimes they do just go away completely. So don't rush into it, even though when you're having the craving, it feels like the most important thing. I know. Also consider, if you're a female, where you are in your hormone cycle. It's actually normal and natural to crave more chocolate, more sweets during the luteal phase of the hormone cycle, when the body is preparing the endometrium before it sheds and menstruation occurs. This time period is like super sensitive. Women actually need more magnesium and protein during this time. And so if you are a woman and you find you have these cravings during this time, consider that something like a chocolate protein shake, something like a magnesium supplement would be a really good idea for you before you're giving into craving sweets and chocolate alone. And I'm just going to tell you, I took my magnesium today because I was craving chocolate, and this is a magnesium citrate. I always keep magnesium on hand. It's really good for a lot of things, but one of them is sweet cravings, but it's only one. So also, try to avoid getting yourself into a mindset of deprivation, like, oh, I'm craving chocolate, therefore I shouldn't eat it because I'm on a low-calorie weight loss diet, or whatever it is you're trying to achieve, or you're worried about your fat, or you're worried about your blood sugar. try to really get yourself to the point where you're actually accepting it's a craving and you're going to eat your food with joy. Eating food with joy is so important. And when we eat food with joy, it's going to have a different impact on our health. It will have a different impact potentially on even how much of that food that we eat or what we choose to eat. But also consider the feelings of shame and guilt that go along with eating the sweet foods that we crave. And if you want to know more about this topic, investigate Brene Brown's books, her videos, her interviews with Oprah. She does an amazing overview of the toxic effects of guilt and shame, that these are emotions that really don't serve us well. And I would say when we're talking about food and eating and managing our health, this is really, really important to consider. So once you've gotten through what is going on, now it's time. Perhaps it's still time to eat your chocolate. Okay, so there's a few different ways to go about this. So first of all, if you are like me and you crave chocolate, and I do this much more now that I live in Switzerland, of course, because the chocolate here is fantastic, is that you might go for some dark chocolate. If you go for dark chocolate, this is my favorite, chili chocolate. You can just get plain dark chocolate. It's going to be lower in sugar, lower in saturated fat, and you're going to have more of those cocoa polyphenols that you want that are going to reduce your oxidative stress, that may protect you against heart disease, and also can help actually protect your skin from damaging UV light and decrease your the oxidative stress of aging in your skin. So we like these cocoa polyphenols. They can do a lot of great things. So I would certainly advocate for a dark chocolate. And this is a 100-gram bar of chocolate. And what you can do is just break off one of these pieces. One of these pieces is actually 10 grams. So you can say, I'm just going to have this 10-gram piece of chocolate. I'm going to eat it so mindfully. I'm going to savor every bite. And I'm going to eat it with great joy. So that's one option. When I'm craving chocolate, this piece of chocolate goes down in like 30 seconds. That's even with a little bit of savoring, 30 seconds. So the next step is to say, well, what can I extend this chocolate with that's actually going to create more healthfulness in what I'm eating? In other words, I can turn my sweet attack into a superfood sweet attack. So how do I do that? So the first thing I would do is actually break this up into little pieces, which I've done already. And I would put them in a bowl. The next step I would do is I would actually have on hand cocoa nibs. So cocoa nibs are just broken up pieces of cocoa shells, and they are not sweetened, and they're just filled with all of those cocoa polyphenols. So I would take a tablespoon of these cocoa nibs, and I would put them with this 10-gram piece of chocolate. And what this does, see if you can see this here, this actually extends the flavor. So you're extending the flavor of this wonderful, in this case, dark chili chocolate that I have incredibly, and you're going to extend the joy without the added sugar and saturated fat calories that you don't want any more than what was just in that little 10-gram piece of chocolate. So you can stop there, and now you've extended your treat to this wonderfully slightly more healthful snack. Or you can go further. The next thing I would do is actually I would add goji berries, because this is another amazing antioxidant rich food. Goji berries are high in zeaxanthin, which is good for the eyes, actually protects the eyes. They also protect your immunity. They're high in vitamin A and C, just like blueberries and raspberries. So they'll protect you from anything from the common cold to developing cancer. There's beta carotene, that's what improves your skin health and can reduce skin irritation and also help with managing the effects of the sun on your skin that I mentioned. And you can also use goji berries to stabilize your blood sugar, increase your HDL, and this is a very good thing because they can also reduce depression, anxiety, and actually improve your sleep. So now you've got some chocolate that has some nice effects on your neurotransmitter metabolism to increase your mood. You've got those cocoa polyphenols. And then now you've got some more flavonoids from your goji berries. So we just put in a tablespoon of goji berries. Now these are dried goji berries with nothing else added. If this doesn't fit into your budget, or if it just barely does, what I would say is just use a little bit. Use just a teaspoon here and there, so you just get little extra amounts of healthy ingredients. Or you could just dry your own berries and have them on hand. So this is these are actually dried raspberries. So I've got a fruit and vegetable dryer here with those nice mesh racks, and I use that all the time. So whenever we have extra fruits and vegetables, or I've just bought more than I think we need, my partner and I will actually dry these things, and then we can have them whenever we want them because they're going to last longer. So on a budget, you can use your raspberries instead of your goji berries, and this is good practice anyways because you know the raspberries can get moldy very quickly. So now you've got a mix of this like berry chocolate treat, which is very yummy and healthy on its own. But I would actually take it a couple steps further if it were me, and I would actually add some dried coconut. So dried coconut is, it's got some fiber, it's a source of medium chain triglycerides, it's a shorter fatty acid, it's easy to absorb. It can be used to help stabilize blood sugar. It's got some extra minerals like manganese, and this little bit of saturated fat, as long as you don't have too much. So this, I think I've measured out maybe a couple of tablespoons here. It's actually good for your hormones because we actually make our hormones from saturated fat. So as much as I know in the state of perimenopause, I have to be careful about the amount of overall fat and calories in my diet, I also want some saturated fat, some healthy saturated fat to make my hormones, particularly since my estrogen is decreasing. And so anything that can, you know, I can make some steroid, anytime my body can make steroid hormones from some healthy saturated fats, I want it to happen. So I might even break up these pieces a little bit. And now we have a mix of cocoa nibs, goji berries, dried coconut, and that 10-gram piece of chocolate. So now you're getting a lot more for your money, and your snack just became the ultimate superfood snack instead of just a simple piece of chocolate that has sugar and saturated fat that could have turned into maybe the entire chocolate bar before you know it. So the final thing I would add is actually some almonds. Almonds are a great source of polyunsaturated fats. They're a nice source of omega-3s, and they've got a little bit of fiber and vitamin E. So we're going to mix those in here as well. And now you've got maybe a cup. You've gone from a 10-gram piece of chocolate that could have potentially turned into that entire chocolate bar, because the whole thing's only 100 grams. Or you could have a cup of this wonderful healthy mix that you could slowly snack on, totally savor, and hopefully have the effect that you're looking for to elevate your mood and feel really good, and at the same time elevate your health. So I hope that I've given you some good, quick and easy food craving ideas today. Don't forget to acknowledge and observe the connection between your emotions and your food intake so that you can really make sure that you're taking good care of your body during this pandemic, during the times that we're spending a little more time at home, and just take good care of yourself. So thank you for joining.